What's going on, YouTube? Oh my God, it's been a while. But I'm coming back with a video from the Saint. Broken OnlyFans girl says it's okay to sleep with her father.
Now, if we have any children, please step out. This is a parental guidance moment.
Fantastic. Okay. Is it morally wrong at this stage for you to have intercourse with your father?
Without any chance of procreation?
Correct.
That's why.
So morally, no.
Okay. Let's start with the first piece, morality. Do you have a morality?
Yes.
In terms of what is a moral wrong, and since you're essentially a sex worker, within the realm of sex work, what would you say is morally wrong?
If there's harm to so anything with someone underage, I think that's wrong. If something with someone can't consent, or there is no consent, those are pretty much where I draw the line. So before anyone asks me, I don't actually think there's anything wrong with incest, anything like that, as long as there's no procreation involved, because then you're harm to a future human being.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of generally what I think. Yeah, I knew that question was coming because it always comes after this. And I do hold that opinion.
Jasmine, did you say there's nothing wrong with incest?
I don't think there's anything morally wrong with incest tell me what's wrong with incest. Tell me.
I just want to make sure that's what you. I just want to make sure that's what you actually said. That's wild.
Right.
I think it's a moral intuition that we have, a moral moral disgust that we have, and a lot of times that's not the best way to gauge morality is by going by our intuitions. Although a lot of morality is surrounded by is the foundation of it is our intuition. But if your morality can't be justified by rational thought, or it can't withstand rational thought, then it's not a good one to rely on. And maybe you should change your thinking. And that's
I know you have a sister. Do you have just one sister? You're one of two?
Yes, one of two.
You're one of two. Have you had any sexual experiences with your sister?
No. But
have you ever touched your
morally wrong? No, I'm just not interested in it.
Boy, ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Fair, sure. Have you ever touched your sister's vagina?
No, but I don't think it'd be gross. I would think it's gross. It cites disgust, but just being gross and being immoral are not the same thing. I also think poop fetishes are gross. I don't think they're immoral.
You far gone, baby. Lord, you far gone.
I mean, you can tell. Then, all right, I have a question for you. What's wrong with
that? You far gone, but go ahead. Go ahead, love.
Go back and forth on this. So tell me what's morally wrong if I touch my sister's vagina. What's morally wrong?
Oh, I don't even think it matters for me to tell you that. And I'll tell you, and that's precisely why I said I don't plan to debate you. And I'll tell you why. Because it's such a vile thing that we're so far apart that even if I were to explain to you, either you wouldn't comprehend or you wouldn't accept. And it's almost probably
at the beginning of this that you're not going to change my mind, or you're not going to change. We already know that. So I'm just saying, if we're here and we're going to have
My bad. I think I got in such a rush to start recording this thing. I forgot to even plug in my external mic. So, guess what? I got it paused. She is beyond degeneracy. She is. I'm not trying to be insulting or just throw out ad hominems, but she says there's nothing morally wrong with incest. She will sleep with her father, her sister, whoever. I'm curious about her upbringing, because she can't be. This has to come from somewhere. Either that, or she's just a demon.
My. I smell a demon.
Discussion, and we're going to have a debate, and you're just using the circular, oh, it's wrong because it's so wrong that it's just so wrong that it's wrong.
Did I say it was wrong?
So it's not wrong?
I said, did I say it was wrong?
You're insinuating that it is, because you're saying you can't even explain to me because it's so.
No, I didn't say I
We're
can't
not gonna
explain.
debate it. Then yeah, that's my view, and let's move
No,
on.
I didn't say that I can't explain. I can explain. I'll give you a little taste, but I didn't say I can. I absolutely can. But to me, it's more interesting for people to hear your views because my audience knows my views, and you're my celebrity guest after all, right? Like you are my celebrity guest today, and I want people to be able to hear you out. I'm not such a narcissist that I want to talk over you and like spread Marquettism. I want them to hear what you think and see your perspective because my perspective is clear, well known, and documented. Now, with regards to incest, I think that there are a number of things that in the human nature, there are a number of things in the human nature that we instinctively have an aversion to.
Okay.
Like, for example, it seems as though you instinctively had an aversion to touching your sister's vagina. And with that instinctive aversion that we have to certain things, it is to protect us as individuals or to protect us as a species. For example, you wouldn't eat, generally speaking, because of the stench. There's a stench on that makes you not want to eat, whereas there's an aroma to a hot apple pie that might make you want to consume it, such that your natural instincts helps you differentiate between feces and food. They both start with F, but radically different. Similarly, with regards to incest, which I didn't know they had hillbillies in Iran. Good Lord. There's a natural feeling at being wrong, in as much as if you were to have an incestuous relationship with your father or with your sister or brother, if you're opposite genders, then the child would be likely to have genetic defects as a result. And that is why we have laws against this kind of thing. And here's the point that I'm making to you is that there's the natural aversion to it, like, oh, this is disgusting. And there's actually scientific, biological reasons that it is a bad thing to do. Hence, the morality and the instinct in the human is aligned with what we're seeing in the culture. So there is a meaningful origin for being against incest. Do you comprehend that?
I comprehend.
Real quick, I just want to say that I don't know, but I heard that that's where certain slave masters back in the day would put a bag over one of their bucks' head, buck as in, big, strong black man. I prefer melanated, but you guys don't know that, so let's go with common terminology here right now. The big black man put a bag over his head, and he would have him sleep with his mother to produce stronger bulls, so to speak. They would then take the bag off to destroy the slave mentally because of the stigma. It's just natural. You shouldn't want to sleep with your parent. You shouldn't want to sleep with your sister or brother. I mean, granted, sleeping with the parent, there's a thing called the Oedipus complex, where some people have an attraction towards their parent, and most kids grow out of it. You usually have it as a kid, but most kids will grow out of that. And yeah, it's just, bro, if you're a parent and you are having sexual attraction towards your kid, let somebody know so they can beat your ass. So they can beat that out you. Because that's the help that you need.
And what you're saying, but the problem is going just based on your intuitions, and you're not. I see a spider. Evolution isn't like our brains. We have our primitive brain, and then we have conscious reasoning, right? So my primitive brain sees a spider, and I'm like, and I want to like run. But my rational brain says, okay, I understand evolutionarily speaking why I'm scared of this spider, because it made sense back in the day that my ancestors would see you're safer that way. This is also why we can become superstitious, why conspiracy theories are attractive to human beings, whereas critical thinking is something that takes learning. Scientific method is not what's the default in the human brain. So I agree with you. When there's an imbalance of power and when there is a potential for future harm, that's why I said without procreation, that is why that is a real harm. But when you say, okay, they're not going to procreate, and there's no imbalance of power, it's two sisters, same age, and you go, now why is it wrong? And all you can really lean in on is intuition and disgust. As in someone who's educated, you should know better than to think those are what we should.
But that's
be
not what we've done here. That's not what we've done, right?
What do you mean that's not what we've done?
You said when one leans into intuition at the expense of reason, but that's not what we've done. We've just laid out the logical reasons and the scientific reasons.
Okay, I have a question. If we take out the reasons,
one second, love. We've just laid out the biological and scientific reasons that incest is not good. Now, we could say if you don't procreate, then it is not as bad, or in your case, you could say it's not bad. Understandable. When it's heterosexual in nature, it's particularly disgusting. And certainly we know that the human being is a terribly irresponsible animal. And in as much as that's the case, we have condoms. We tell people to use condoms. Most people are not using condoms in the United States of America. So when you have things like this, there's a meaningful function and utility to this aversion. You understand? We agree at least on that one.
But the whole, I mean, I don't know how much philosophy and stuff you do, but there's a reason.
I just want to figure out, like, do we have any common ground on the piece that I said? Like, I know we disagree.
But yes, the policy makes sense. We're talking about an imbalance of power, like a father with like a daughter. I think there's an imbalance of power. Or when we're talking about the ability to procreate. But your example of have you touch your sister's vagina doesn't fall into either of those categories. And so then what you're relying on is—
That was not an example. That was a question. That was not an example. I asked you if you touch your sister's vagina.
Okay, here's what I'm saying. I don't think it's morally wrong just because I have a disgust or an aversion. We are irrational creatures. We are animals. But that going based off solely how I feel and my evolutionary primitive brain, how that responds is not the way that we should be determining what's wrong or what's right or any of the sort. Now, do I believe that there can be negative consequence? Do I know where the evolutionary drive to be disgusted comes from? Yes, we're in agreement on that. We can continue this or we can move on.
Right.
But
Right. But I just want to make one final statement just to make your position very bright for everyone. You would agree that there is nothing in your morality. There's nothing wrong with you bending your sister over doggy style and eating her vagina. There's nothing wrong with that in your morality.
Not morally, no.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, so you're saying I would eat my sister's vagina and I'm cool with that. It's fine.
No, I said that it's morally not wrong to do so.
It's morally not wrong. Okay, yeah, so if it's more, just real quick, Jasmine.
That doesn't mean
you're getting shaky here. You just said you're getting shaky here. And I like this place that we're at. You said it's morally not wrong. And then you also expressed that we shouldn't be primitive. We should use logic and reason. Well, is your sister ugly? Like, why wouldn't you eat her vagina?
I'm not attracted to women, and I'm still grossed out by it. There's plenty, but I'm grossed out by you too. Like, there's like a lot of things that I wouldn't do that aren't morally wrong. I wouldn't have sex with you. I'm not attracted to you. I don't want to have sex. That's what I'm saying.
So,
but that doesn't mean it would be morally wrong for us to have sex.
Okay. You've never had any sexual experiences with females?
I've had a couple threesomes. That's it.
She said, "That's it." Like it was nothing. I like that. That's dope. Like, you know how people break up and they go on a break. Sometimes you come back with a girl. You're like, "Hey, you didn't f- anybody. I had a couple threesomes. That's it." I like how you said that.
Have you had? I guess those are sexual experiences with girls, but I'm not particular.
Yeah, let me be more acute then. Have you had a sexual experience where you were sexually engaging with the girl such that it would be homosexual in nature, like you were engaging sexually with her directly?
Nope, not so far.
You lying ass bitch.
Okay, so would you then consider yourself heterosexual?
Yeah.
I think she lying.
Okay, fair enough. Rob writes, ask her, does she believe in morality? So we got that one. Second piece is, does she believe in a right or wrong way to do this? Believe there's a right or wrong way to do this. We kind of hit that. I believe everyone has a right to live how they want. I don't believe that. But shouldn't there be a standard of right and wrong? I'm gonna go ahead and say, Jasmine, you don't think there should be a standard of right and wrong?
No, I think it would be nice if there was, but there isn't a good one right now because unless we want to go to some sky god, what else are we going to do? Who sets the standard?
Got it. And another thing that I thought was quite interesting. Were we caught up? Mm-hmm. We are caught up. Okay, fantastic. I got a ton of questions for you. And as I said, you're my celebrity guest. I actually want to learn from your mentality. So and I don't want to bring your sister into this because I know she might not be a public figure. She might like be working at CVS right now. She working at CVS.
She's a lawyer too, but she's a regular lawyer. She's a lawyer.
She's an actual lawyer.
Yes.
Okay. And is this your older sister or your younger sister?
Younger.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Did she do any
lawyer? We're all lawyers.
Very good. Does she do any sex work or strictly lawyer? Never has.
Media, nope, nothing.
Fantastic. And I always find the difference.
I guess my father didn't fail there because she.
No, he did fail. He did fail.
Not with her.
No, he did fail with her because her morality is in question. In your Soft White Underbelly interview, you mentioned talking to your sister, and she says, "Well, Dad's going to be disappointed. Go to law school, but also just do both." And that is morally corrupt. So yes, he for sure failed with her. Like in my case, I would never recommend to a man to do something that I think is beneath me. You see, so yes, she's morally corrupt. There's just no doubt about that. Okay. But that doesn't mean we can't all be friends.
Well, this is the thing. The reason I don't want to get into this is because you say morally corrupt, and then we're going to have to go into what constitutes moral corruption, and then it's going down that rabbit hole. And no,
you make it seem like it has to be a complex.
It is. If you don't think morality and moral philosophy is complex and you don't understand moral philosophy, or you turn to an authority, which is a spiritual book, and that's how you determine it, which is fine. But I don't think
you're sophomoric, and often I find that people who don't understand things, sometimes they try to make it complex. One thing I learned in business is that, like, even when you listen to a sales pitch, like your sales pitch for is phenomenal. It's A1. I find it a bit comical that you suggest people want to ethically jack off. Like, I can't just be jacking off to that regular. I need organic GMO. If I'm going to wax my knob, I need to make sure that was there consent? Is she 18? And is there a power dynamic before I think a lot cares about that when they're about to jack off. I mean, it's a ludicrous concept.
That is clearly the superior way to do it, but okay.
What do you mean by that?
Go for it. But if you want to tell me in one paragraph.
She said this is the superior way to jack off. Amazing.
Well, tell me in one paragraph what determines what's moral and what's not moral. What's the standard? Tell me if it's so simple.
I'll give you a sentence here that generally helps. So when there's a harm to the self, we can see that things are not good. I'll give you a simple example of that. Like, for example, if you look at male homosexuality over time, I used to manage a program at Johns Hopkins Medical. You look at male homosexuality over time, worked with a lot of physicians, nurses, postdocs. A lot of these individuals end up incontinent in old age, meaning that they can't hold their bowels because they received trauma to the sphincter, and they've received trauma to the anus because the anus is not supposed to receive traffic in that direction. So they're actually hurting themselves. So it's a clear indication that it's morally wrong, and the result is actual damage to the physical systems. There are a number of things like that give you a very clear basis of right and wrong.
So, okay, well, that was not a paragraph, but I'll just go with your first sentence because that was the only real thing in there. Harm to self. So is eating a donut morally wrong?
Yeah. Free Game writes, this is extremely false. Siblings share the same DNA. Parents and child don't have the same DNA. Incest with your siblings will result to children with Down syndrome due to them having the same DNA.
I don't know what book he's reading. I'm finishing up The Selfish Gene right now, and it's 50% for children and also 50% for siblings.
Yeah. Free Game writes, siblings have 50 to 75% of the same DNA, and that's 50% of a chance of having a Down syndrome child. Incest is morally wrong, and science backs it.
Procreation with a sibling is morally wrong, but you were saying that it's not with a parent, which doesn't make sense because it's the same. So that's what I was confused by.
Do you think that having sex with a parent is morally wrong?
Yes, because generally there'd be like, I would, because the parent raped you, so there's some grooming and just weird going on in that context, I think.
Okay, so let's say that there was this is just curious real quick. There's no grooming. You move out of the house of your parents, and then, 10 years later, you're like, hey, Pop, what that daddy D do? Is that morally wrong for you to have intercourse with your father?
So I think a better example are those who get like adopted and then years down the line when they're like 25 and they
No.
find
Let's not go with adoption. Let's not go with adoption. Like
no.
in your
What I'm
case,
saying is
were
that
you-
you find your original parent, your biological parent, but they never raised you, because then you know that there was no abuse or grooming or anything.
Hey guys, this is kind of hard for me to say, but you know, I've been dating him since 2015. I met him when he was 21. And we had our first kid like a year after 2016. And we had another kid in 2017.
Wait for it.
And I just recently found out that this was my son that I gave up for adoption.
Damn! What did you say?
I just recently found out that this was my son that I gave up for adoption.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let me just grab my stuff off the bus.
Yo, what the fuck?
Is it morally wrong at this stage for you to have intercourse with your father?
Without any chance of procreation.
Correct. Because you're on birth control, right?
Yeah, but so morally, no, I don't think there's anything. I can't, even if there is, I can't explain it. I don't have enough rational reason to actually be able to say it's morally wrong. Therefore, my default in those scenarios is to say it's not, because I don't see what the harm, I can't find a victim here. I can't find a reason beyond the fact that I would be so grossed out by
Your
that.
soul is the
morally wrong,
victim.
and I don't think me just being grossed out by something is enough to consider it wrong. I'm grossed out by you. I don't say that's morally, you're morally wrong for that.
Gotcha. So it's not morally wrong for you to have sex with your father.
I can't.
A yes or no will suffice. A yes or no will suffice. No, it's not morally wrong.
I can't find a reason to say it's morally wrong. Therefore, I say it's not.
I'm going to stop this right here. I think it's a few more minutes left. So apparently she has a law degree. I haven't done any research on it, but I'm assuming that she has a law degree. So she says these horrible things intelligently. She uses a lot of words, big words and stuff, you know, but I mean, just when it comes down to it, look, me, myself, if I meet a woman who has the same name as my sister, there's a good chance that we probably won't do nothing, because I can't look at my sister. I can't look at this woman and say my sister's name and not see my sister. You know, it's just that's just how, I guess, adverse I am to incest in any form. It's just, well, yeah, she's broken. She has to be broken. There's no way. Yeah. Look, I'm just going to end this right here. You guys leave your comments, because I don't know what else to say. We are doomed. Society is in hell at this point. Yeah. Ta-ta. Share, like, comment, whatever. We out. End this bit. End it. End it.